were joking, right?
I don't think I'm joking, Ellie. But I'm not joking about this. Or am I joking? I don't know. Hi, everyone. This is Ethan McKinley. This is the 2-Minute Terminator, where we break down the Terminator films 2 minutes at a time. We are on episode 28 of Season 5. We are now on Terminator Genisys. On the other end of the line is my charming co-host, Ellie Fitzgerald.
Hello, Terminator fans.
Welcome back, Ellie. How's it been?
Long.
How do you feel regularly?
I'm absolutely knackered,
are...
but I'm elated to be speaking to you and doing the podcast.
Oh, lovely. Well, we are going from minutes 54 to 56, the 2 minutes bridging that gap. And it starts with the bolshy, the bossy. Can we say that now? Feminists are trying to ban the word bossy, aren't they?
No.
And she is a feminist icon. Yeah. We'll get to that. It starts with Emma Winter. Sorry, Amelia's girlfriend. Hello. She was worse than Sarah Connor. Emilia Clarke's Sarah Connor saying, "I think I'm doing just fine," to Kyle. And it ends with Kyle Reese jumping into action after berating Sarah for being essentially a bossy, order-giving feminist icon. Which is true. Because she's been a bit of a dick up to this point.
Ethan, hit the music.
Yeah, I think this guy's a couple cans short of a six-pack.
Howdy, stranger.
Don't say howdy, stranger, to me.
Load up.
You didn't do the fourth.
Thank God. It sucked. Yeah, it's so good.
Hooey!
Oh, what a happy mood we're in today. Yes, everyone. Hello, I'm Ethan McKinley. Ellie Fitzgerald is Ellie Fitzgerald, and we are here to talk about the 2-Minute Terminator. I've just lost all my notes, so everything's going wrong.
That's all right. You've already done the bookend. You've done your bit.
I can't get me notes. They've just literally cancelled
themselves. Thank God I have notes. But before I start, I would just like to say to the Ghostbusters Minute Boys, Carl and Brady, thank you so much for your lovely little bit that you did on me and Ethan. It was very sweet. I have to tell you, I do look better in pictures than I do in person, so who knows, maybe one day we'll all join forces and be in the same room and do a podcast. But no, Ethan looks great. I look great on camera, but in reality I do just look like a small boy. But no, it's very...
this is, of course, in reference to the fact that me and Ellie guested on Ghostbusters Minute last Friday for minute 84. If you go to ghostbustersminute.com or Ghostbusters Minute on SoundCloud or iTunes, you can find us discussing Video Nasty's paedophilia and Bill Murray's checkered career.
Ethan got really dark, and I'm like, Ethan, these are American people. They don't like the darkness as much.
I was just explaining the early days of the internet, when the internet began. Really began, but when everyone kind of got into the internet around 2003, you couldn't download a song on iTunes without getting some awful, disgusting video of child molestation. It was the Wild Wild West days. Very strange.
I remember downloading porn from LimeWire.
Sorry, that's what I meant. LimeWire. That was the creepy one where you didn't know what you were going to get. You'd type in one thing and get some other awfulness.
Although that's how I just got
anyway,
Diana Banks in the first squirting video. But anyway, we digress.
On the same token of that, we're actually on today's show. So it's Friday, and it's the 28th of October, almost on Halloween 2016. We guested on Airport Minute for minute 65, the episode called Make Some Noise with Jim and Jim. And we had a great time. We were on for like an hour, so it's like a bumper episode, a bit like the Ghostbusters Minute guys, but they cut us off halfway through the hour because they had shit to do. But we're going to be back on their show in the forthcoming Jurassic Park Minute. Ellie, you know, we had that discussion the other week about there being another female co-host out there. I was referring, of course, to Cassandra Fredrickson of Lord of the Rings Minute. Now, there is another female co-host.
What? Shut the front door.
I know.
What the hell is going on?
From another.
Is that a trend? Is that what it is? Am I finally a trendsetter?
Well, the Fifth Element Minute now has Crystal Beth, who's their female co-presenter. So you were a trailblazer, but you are no longer unique, sadly. So there we have it.
Yeah, but do they look like a character in the film that they're doing?
We can only hope that Crystal Beth is a giant dildo-headed opera singer.
No, but she could be the other one with the orange hair. What's her name in real life?
Mila
Yeah.
Jovovich.
Maybe
It's
she looks
possible,
like
but
her.
unlikely. Let's not go nuts.
Let's be honest. Geeks are never really good-looking people. Whenever I go into Forbidden Planet or any kind of shop like that,
I'm
you
the
just
best
like, oh
one.
my god. Today I had the most frustrating train journey home. I've had the longest week at work. I work in events. And
What
it's
about those guys at the John
absolutely
Carpenter
mental.
concert? We were the hottest people there, and that's not saying something because we're not tens by any stretch. But by God, the guests or the punters going to the John Carpenter concert where the auteur director played all his
It
movie
almost
themes and
looked
some of his stuff from his new album.
like a tryout for like background actors in like Harry Potter or something.
At a Comic-Con.
Yeah, this is what I was going to say. I had the most frustrating train journey home this evening. So I've had the longest week. Literally, I have worked my socks off. It's been absolutely insane. I'm thinking.
Are you still wearing
I actually
socks?
am.
You didn't wear that
So I'm on the train thinking, oh God, just go home, chill out. A load of cosplayers decide to get on the carriage, and my God, they were so loud, and their conversation was just so lame, and they're sat there with their gimpy costumes on. It was some kind of like, I recognise what it is. It's like some anime stuff, and I was just like, really? Really? Everyone in the carriage was getting so annoyed, and you're just thinking, oh God, and not like every single one of them looked like they'd either been conceived by their like parents being brother and sister, or like something out the hills have eyes. And I was like, what is it with nerds and geeks? They just look horrific. Apart from me and Ethan, apparently. Anyway, we've massively digressed. Just wanted to say thank you so much to Carl and Brady. It was very sweet. It touched my heart. I never thought that this would actually amount to anything, so it's a little bit, don't know, I'm a little bit in like shock, and yeah, it's kind of weird.
Well, they're very complimentary. I think they talked us up a little bit too much because we're not that amazing. I don't know.
no,
I
but I
just got
think
the
it's
sense
because-
we're always disappointing on shows because I turn into you and go off the range so much. But I think they pre-warned the listeners of that. But
Well,
we
I think what it is,
digress.
Ethan, is you just like to talk.
Yeah. this
Even
is
on
true.
their show, you kind of
but,
like
well, I was going to say,
steamrolled both of them. I was like, bloody hell, Ethan, this isn't our show. But you just
Shut
like
up,
to
you
talk.
two.
Anyway, back to this particular 2 minutes. I have quite a few notes.
I have quite a
Have
few
you
notes
located
as well.
your notes?
I've located my
Done.
notes. Here we go. I was going to say, Lee, we can kick off with this film, of course, was released by Paramount Pictures, which also distributes the Star Trek series. Several actors have appeared in both franchises. Paul Winfield, of course, is in Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. He's the guy that gets infected by one of those like creepy little earworm bugs. He's the black guy, but he kills himself with his phaser. He's also Captain Wexler in Terminator 1, 1984. Edward Furlong, of course, appeared in Star Trek, the TV series, as a very young or a younger boy in the early 90s. He, of course, played John Connor in Terminator 2. Thomas Dekker. Now, this guy's interesting. Thomas Dekker was in the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
No.
Did you know that? He played John Connor in that. And last but not least, Anton Yelchin, the late Anton Yelchin, he died in a freak accident earlier this year when he got
So
pinned
savage.
by his
Well, he's
truck
such a good actor.
between. Yeah. Adam James was also offered a role but declined in this particular film due to scheduling conflicts. Now, according to this, Adrian James, sorry, not Adam, he played a prostitute in the 1976 film God Told Me To. I have no idea what that means, but it is IMDb trivia I do take these things from, and a little of it makes sense. Well, it mostly makes sense, and they throw in like a curveball. And yeah, Adrian James was offered a role but declined to be in this film, but he played a prostitute in a 1976 film 40 years ago.
40
I
years
have no
ago.
idea what that means, listeners. I apologise. 40 years. Oh, by the way, Westworld, speaking of like killer robots, I think you should watch that, Ellie. I think you might like it.
Why? 'Cause it's got puffy nipples in it.
And Anthony Hopkins, nudity.
Ethan, I
and
think
it's
you
about killer
misconstrue
robots.
my fascination with the debauch. Do you think that it's like with Game of Thrones? Like Ellie, you'd love it. It's got this and that.
No, but I think there's a character now in Westworld who comes there. And there's two of them, two friends, and one wants to go on this like like romantic, grandiose Wild West adventure, and the other guy is just constantly having threesomes and just randomly shooting people. And it's like, I suppose a bit like when you see someone who's drunk, you see their true character come out. Obviously on a much lower budget, but this is what's kind of happening in Westworld. It's showing like this guy who was like seemed like the nicest guy ever is like completely corrupt to his core, and the other guy who you thought was going to be a bit of a douche is actually is quite a principled and I guess moral person, as it were. A bit of a square, yeah. I'd obviously be the former guy, just wrecking the shop. I'm sure you would be too. But no, it's quite a good show, and Anthony Hopkins is in it, your favourite, and there's lots of Anthony Hopkins monologues, and Anthony Hopkins being Anthony Hopkins.
And did we mention that Anthony Hopkins is in it? And puffy nipples. That's why Ethan's watching it. Anyway, back to the Terminator. So my first note is, so we see the kind of aftermath of Sarah and Kyle arriving in the future in 2017. You hear the two police, well, there's a policeman and a police lady, and they're saying, oh yeah, two naked people tried to blow themselves up on the freeway. What? Why? That didn't make any sense to me at all, and it kind of makes me think about police in general. They're so uninspired by what's happened. He doesn't seem to give a shit. It's just, oh yeah, these two naked people tried to blow themselves up. Okay, so if you were gonna blow yourself up, why would you do it in the middle of a freeway? Why would you be naked?
Well,
and if you tried to blow yourself up, you'd blow yourself up.
I think their idea is there must be some kind of like a couple of like naked cult nut people. This is why Homeland Security's here. They think they're kind of two, like, I guess, domestic terrorists who tried to blow up something on the freeway and it's gone wrong, and they're just left there naked, holding the baby, as it were, or each other.
That around. Oh, it's terrorists. Oh, it's terrorists. It's just like, no, there's just two kids who are naked and a bit freaked out. At no stage did that actually.
Well, let's not go too far. There was a giant explosion. A truck was sheared in two. Several cars did crash. There was an explosion and lots of electricity.
They're in the centre of this kind of crater. If they tried to blow themselves up, they'd be dead. Look at the devastation that it caused around them. And why would they be naked?
Well, I mean, like I said, oh my God, I've forgotten his name now. Sorry, J.K. Simmons, sorry, plays the older version of O'Brien. We'll come to his younger character a bit later on in the show. He quite clearly states when he arrives with the detectives or runs up behind me, he says, I've got the CCTV footage in it. They appear out of the middle of that bubble or explosion, essentially. So they. Sorry.
I stuck to the floor. Sorry, carry on.
So in this, it confused me. A listener had to actually write in and explain it because it's. I was actually confused by this. There's a young cop who's in the department store sequence at the start when Carl Reese is being attacked by Byung-Hung Lee's T-1000. One cop gets killed by him, and the other one is like, "Oh my God, it's aliens! What's going on?" And kind of like he's the one that cuffs and then uncuffs Jai Courtney's John Connor. He plays a detective or a young cop called O'Brien. Now, a guy called Wayne Bastrop, a young actor, plays the younger version of him, the 1984 version of O'Brien. As we like move up, I guess, was it 30 odd years? Now, the actor playing the young O'Brien is Wayne Bastrop, as I said. He was born in 1976, so he's 40. So why they cast this guy, not someone who was like age appropriate, I have no idea. He also looks nothing like J.K. Simmons. As we roll into the future, J.K. Simmons is, of course, the older O'Brien who witnessed this attack of the T-1000, all these kind of like weird kind of things back in the day, and I guess has followed this case right back to the attack on the police station where Lance Henriksen, Paul Winfield's character, who I mentioned was previously, it all got shot up, and Linda Hamilton and Michael Bihn's version of Sarah Connor and Carl Reese escaped. I always assumed he was a cop from that police station. It would have made more sense to me, but I guess as we're in this alternate timeline, I guess you can't have that. But having said that, you've got Kyle Reese, Jai Courtney's version, who's remembering both versions of his past. So why isn't J.K. Simmons? I don't know, it just seemed like an odd thing. I didn't pick up on it immediately. Like I said, James Spallner, the listener, had to write in and explain this to me, which is a bit weird as I'm doing a Terminator
but dude, he knows
show,
way more than we do. Way more.
It's not even that though. It's just not very well telegraphed. He just says one line. He goes, "I was there that night, and you saved my life." And even as I'm watching this now, the clip,
Do you not
it
think
still
they picked an actor that...
makes little sense as to why they had the character do this. He should have been a cop from the original. I know that didn't happen, but he should have remember an
Do you
alternate
not think that
timeline.
the
I don't
actor
know.
that they chose kind of looks like Silverman?
He does, yes. J.K. Simmons does look like
I wonder
Silverman.
if that was on purpose.
He does.
I don't know. Just kind of links it nicely back to the
I
old
don't
films.
know.
I don't know. You don't really care, do you?
Well, one thing about this clip as well, Emilia Clarke's makeup is like really like, it's really obviously and thickly applied. She's got loads of like foundation and like a white neck and like rosy cheeks. It's almost like an amateur like makeup assistant has done the
Or like-
makeup on her.
or just got, like,
It's very
makeup
strange. I
stage
mean,
so that
it's
they can see her in the back seats.
yeah, it's really like daubed on and obvious, and it just seems strange.
They just got it all.
But yeah, the J.K. Simmons character thread and arc just jangles with me in a weird way. I don't know. The young O'Brien and the old O'Brien. I think they just should have tied it
What I
together
want to
better.
know about this particular guy in the film, so he goes up to the police and he says, "Look, I know these kids. They're from 1984." He gets out his iPad and he shows them photographs of the actual electrical kind of bubble current thing. Okay, first question: one, how would he get access to kind of CCTV footage that was on a highway? Two, how would he have been able to get? No.
Well, I
how
mean,
would
the
he have
police.
been able?
You
Yeah, but
can
how would he?
request.
How would he have been able to get footage that quickly? This is literally just happened. When
oh no,
you
I
record
thought that too. It
it,
would take ages for red tape and to go to the
Exactly.
right channels and
it's
stuff.
an
and have it
ongoing
processed.
thing. It's only like in a certain time of day that they will actually collect that recording. Now I know this because I know a guy that actually works on road maintenance and things like that, and he has to change the films for cameras and stuff. So those cameras are ongoing, and then it's only at a certain time that they will then be able to like stop it and then send it wherever and then replay it back.
I would have thought but they wouldn't have tapes inside the cameras, Ellie. Surely the information is trapped.
I
The
don't
only
mean
recording,
tape as in
visual
like
or,
a tape
sound.
that we would understand. I mean as in like...
No, I know, but I'm just saying it wouldn't that be transported like through the wires to like a central hub or a
Okay, well
headquarters or some
if
kind
it's
of
that
database?
way, how would he have? Someone's taken a recording of it. So if you think about it, when you're watching it live, you can't stop it and then rewind it, can you? Because you're watching it live as it's happening. So how has he got it on his iPad? I know they're just trying to link it into the film and give him like this kind of character presence, but I don't know. That was the first thing I thought. I was just like, well, how would he have?
The actor that actually mentions that it's going to be like it's an operating system he's going to download it to his tablet is an actor called Doug Smith. Doug Smith is the like the orderly who's kind of like stitching up Sarah's back. She's a bit like Dalton from Roadhouse, the Swayze dog. She's like, I don't need a local.
Do you know
it live.
who she makes me think of when I've ever met her? Sophie. I can imagine her being like this. You're
Which one?
Sophie.
She'd be like, what? I don't need anaesthetic.
Well, just like, you
And
know,
shouting at
she's really
people.
like, whoa, whoa, I know what I'm doing. Whoa. I don't know. Sometimes some of the conversations that you guys have had, she sounds kind of very Emilia Clarke. And I imagine if she was having her back stitched
No.
up.
Sophie is the furthest thing from an authoritarian.
No, but if you
person
think
ever,
about it,
I assure
Sarah
you.
isn't really. She's nothing without Pops. She's rubbish.
Pops.
And also, I thought that
Well, I'm an aging machine with a receding hairline, so I guess you're
yeah,
right.
babe, but you're what is it? You're old but not obsolete.
I'm all that obsolete.
What was I gonna say? You completely threw
What
me,
were you
gonna
gonna say?
say? Oh, the overacting where she goes,
Well-
Genisys, what is it? Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Sometimes her acting's fine, and other times it just feels like overacting.
Yeah, I don't think she's
She's a
kind
bit-
of really
she's a bit
got a
too
hand on her
intense.
character. I don't think
You'd
there's
be a
been
bit more
a lot.
tactful about it.
Yeah, she's like she's used to this Carl Reese dude now, and she's
Yeah.
still kind of screaming
She's
at
being
him. And
aggressive
it's
to
kind of
absolutely
like, this know-it-all.
everybody. And yeah, she's being really intense with this guy.
Yeah.
If
I
you
mean,
want
he
to get
does the right
information
thing.
out of someone, that's not the way to do it.
Yeah. I know, it's just all this kind of eye rolling and oh god, here we go again. It's just like she didn't know anything until this
Thanks,
freaking
I hate her.
like orderly that was stitched her up as explain what Genisys is. A bit like James Spaldner. Yeah, she just. I think they're kind of stringing it. They either should have like committed more to the idea and have, like I said, this Humphrey Bogart, Catherine Hepburn. They don't like each other until they do. But it's like They've been around each other long enough now.
And
We're
if
an
you're gonna
hour
make
into
her
the
this
film by a
badass,
few minutes.
give her a body of a badass like Vasquez. She was good as a dick. Well, she wasn't a massive dick, but she was a bit like aggressive. But you looked at her body, and the chick could do chins for God's sake. That's a badass.
Yeah, but Jeanette Goldstein at the time was a kind of like
It doesn't
semi-professional
matter,
bodybuilder.
Ethan. The body transformations that some actors and actresses go through for films, it's incredible.
I know, but Ellie, again, you have to look at the filmmakers responsible for making this film. This is Alan Taylor of Game of Thrones and Amelia Clarke of Game of Thrones. This, as well, we've gone over this ad infinitum in this entire series, not just this season, but like this is a soulless cash grab to kind of keep this, I guess, franchise alive. I'm sure if Paramount, I think I know this, in fact, if they don't make another film after this one before 2019, the rights revert back to James Cameron, a bit like the way Fox keep making Fantastic Four films, because they'll lose the license of the franchise, the same way Sony, to kind of keep the Spider-Man license away from Marvel, they made those kind of two Spider-Man films that everyone complained about with Andrew Garfield. So some studios, the original rights owner will retain the rights if you don't keep doing something with that product or kind of generating a content based off that character or that idea. And this is clearly what's happening here. Like they plan to make a whole new trilogy, and I'm sure that in itself was a hollow way of keeping, for at least a decade or another decade until they can think of something else, a way of keeping these rights. I mean, as it stands now, that idea has been scrapped, and I don't think there's going to be a sequel to this, making it the second part in this new trilogy. Amelia Clarke has emphatically said no, she's not coming back as Sarah Connor either. So she, as well, you've rightly pointed out, she wasn't committed to the role in the first place. I think she did it as a favour to a director she'd worked with many times, Alan Taylor, who'd done a million Game of Thrones episodes, and obviously that's why she was given this role. But like you said, yeah, she's not committed, whether it was shot in or out of sequence, whether she had enough time to prepare. But I mean, a lot of the work hasn't been done. It doesn't show in her body or her performance.
I think she's.
I don't know.
I can't.
It's another crappy Terminator film. It's the best one of the new ones, but it's
again,
still.
What I said at the
it's
very beginning when we started doing this, and I was like, my issue with this film is the casting. I think if they had different casting, they could have done a much better job.
Yeah.
I just don't. I'm not convinced by the people and
Yeah.
how they kind of create this persona. The ones that we know and love, I mean, there's absolutely nothing about it. Like, she is so far away from Linda Hamilton, it's untrue.
Couldn't they just sellotape
If they can
Linda
CGI
Hamilton's
Arnold's
face
face
back so
onto
she looks a
some
bit
young
tighter?
dude's body, they could do it with her. They could do it with her.
Yeah, but you have to bear in mind that was only in a very small portion of the start of the film. The technology, I'm sure, was very expensive. I mean, a lot of the budget probably went on that kind of like showy first 10 minutes where you're like, ooh, we're back in 84, and ooh, look, it's the old locations, and ooh, it's Arnold fighting Arnold. And that only happened for like 30 seconds. And that probably cost $1 bazillion.
I have
That probably
another-
was a massive chunk of the budget, which was, I mean, they sold the entire film on that sequence, so it must have cost them a bomb, because they hung the
Well, they
entire
showed you
marketing
everything
campaign
in
on
the
that as
trailer.
well.
So. Anyway, going back to the guy, the I guess the investigator or the cop that tries to get the two kind of police man, well, the man and the woman. The woman actually looks quite a bit like your friend Young Hung Lee. I thought maybe she might be a T-1000, but she wasn't. So yeah, he goes up to them and he says, "These are the kids. These are the guys from 1984." He never saw Sarah. If he was the guy in the store that helped uncuff him, he would have never seen Sarah. So how does he know that that's them?
No. Well, you have to assume he kind of probably looked up from above the jewelry counter and went, "Oh look, there's a girl going, 'Move, soldier, get in the van,' blah blah
Wasn't
blah."
that handy? My next point about the same scene: don't turn up pissed if you're trying to put forward a case that could sound like a conspiracy theory. Because they're like, "Have you been drinking?" He doesn't say anything. Yeah, I thought so. It's like, oh god, dude. You've just done the typical like David Icke. You've spoken a lot of sense, and then you've started talking about lizard people. You've just completely lost any kind of stand that you'd have had in this argument. Now get out of my hospital. Yeah, I thought that was a bit silly. The next point that I had on this particular scene, so as you said, this guy with the curly hair looks a little bit like Mr. Tumnus. He's stapling up the cut on Amelia's back, which again, if she'd been hit by a car and kind of thrown onto gravel, onto concrete and gravel, that's not the kind of mark that she would have, but anyway. He's on his phone talking about Genisys, and that's when she then freaks out. I don't think you're allowed mobile phones in hospitals.
I think it
Okay,
just depends
would you be
where
allowed
in
to
the
be
hospital
on
you
your
are. I guess maybe
phone
if you're in
whilst
the
you're treating a
the MRI.
patient? No, Ethan, it's bollocks.
Well, I
no,
don't
it's
know. It
rubbish.
depends on
You're
the,
not allowed
the
mobile
person, if it's a
phones
cop.
because it interferes with the equipment that they have in the building. It doesn't matter where you are not allowed your mobile phone.
Well, I've been into hospital many times over the
No, you
last
don't have to
couple
hand
of
it
years. and I've
over,
never
but
been
you're
asked
not
hand
not
over
meant to
my phone or
answer
anything, and the
calls. You're
phone
not
being
meant
in
to
the
have it
first
on
place.
loud, that's for sure, because it interferes with all the different kinds of equipment in that building, and it makes sense.
I know, but it's a plot device and it's a cop doing it. So who's going to
Not
kind
a
of
cop.
like
He's not a
speak
cop.
to him?
It's the guy
This
who's
cop, by the
stitching
way,
up
is
her
an
back.
actor
He's
called
a doctor,
Mike.
and he is on his phone whilst he's putting metal
sorry.
staples into a girl's back. You would not be allowed on your phone. I don't care who
No,
Elise
no.
is.
Yeah, I know, but I was just going to say that the detective has his phone with him and he's
Which
also on it.
detective's on the phone?
The actor in question is Michael Gladys, by the way. He's been in Mad Men, Feed the Beast, Eagle Heart. Never heard of any of them, but he's a good working actor. The lady you just referred to, the Oriental one, is not Oriental at all. Sandrine Holt is her name. She's from London, England. She was born in 1972, so she looks pretty great for her age. She's in Mr. Robot, House of Cards, and also, if you go all the way back to the start of her career, she's in Rapa
and I
Nui.
probably
Have you
never
ever seen
will.
that? It's about Easter Island. It's quite good. Kevin Reynolds directed it. He did Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves and stuff, but it's about Easter Island and how they think the island died because there was cannibalism and stuff, and they kind of like. It's
I don't
based on
think it
those,
was
like,
cannibalism
giant,
at all.
stone heads, the ones that
I've
look like
seen
me.
a very interesting program about the fact that it's where that island is positioned, they get the most extreme weathers you can possibly think of. So it's either insanely hot and dry and arid, or it's like monsoon
Like
and
Dudley.
it's torrential. So what I think happened is, and what they have actually stated the case, they put one of those poles right down, and I don't even know how far, but they look at the different sediments of mud and rock and things like that, so they can actually tell what the climates would have been like hundreds of thousands of years ago. And it shows that these different kind of terrains, these different crazy extremes in weather conditions, and what they think would have happened is it would have completely raped the land. Yeah, I said it, raped. Completely raped the land of all the natural resources. So food, shelter, all that stuff would have been gone. So it kind of sounds like these people died out. But they also would have used these statues to pray, to say, please, yield us a good crop this year. Whatever. So I think that's what it was. I don't actually think it was that they were cannibals and they ate each other at all. Science. Yeah, there's an amazing... Because science, Ethan. No, it's a really, really interesting
Because science, Ethan.
documentary about it. In fact, I think it was like 2 hours long, but it was absolutely fascinating. Really cool. You should check it out.
Well, speaking of documentaries, Ellie, there's a documentary from 2002 called Dirty Harry, the original. And Arnold Schwarzenegger stated that Clint Eastwood was an inspiration since he had first seen Dirty Harry while he was rapping Hercules in New York. Have you ever seen Hercules in New York, Ellie?
Is that
It's
the
when
one where there
Arnold's
was the
kind of,
bear?
like, really can't act and has a really thick accent.
Yeah.
He fights a man dressed as a bear.
Oh
in
my
the
god,
park.
it's absolutely ridiculous. This bear costume, oh my god. Patterson Gimli's Bigfoot was way better.
Well, Terminator Genisys is set in San Francisco. Now, that's the same city that the Dirty Harry movies basically are set in. But Arnold just remarked that he felt like Dirty Harry, and he was like channeling that character for some times when he was playing the Terminator. He also wore Gargoyle sunglasses in that first film, the same glasses that Eastwood wears in the first two Dirty Harry films. Did you know that? The last two, I believe, the Sudden Impact and the Deadpool. Yeah. So, yeah, Arnie was trying to channel old Dirty Harry, which was filming when he was making I'm Fighting a Bear in the Park.
Oh, cock up. Bing!
I got a cock up too. When the young nurse slash doctor is putting the staples into Sarah's neck, oh, Ellie might be on something here, while talking on the phone, you can clearly see both hands have examination gloves on. But when he ends the call after saying, "I'll call you back," he presses the button and no gloves are present on his hands. In the next shot, the gloves are back on both hands.
Sarah would have been a bit more amazed at the fact
Also,
that she'd seen a mobile phone for the first time in her life. She wouldn't know what that was. She'd be like, "What is this thing?"
yes. Well, I mean, they'd probably assume that things would have changed. They might be a little bit prepared for it.
This is like new technology. This is crazy.
Pops might have educated her on
still would
certain
never have-
things,
yeah,
though,
but she still
like
would
as
never
a
have seen
future
one.
prep, if you will.
Cup up. Bing, bing.
Oh, it's a cock up. Speaking of cock ups, I've got a second cock up. During the hospital sequence, Ellie, which occurs in California, USA, it would not be prudent for any doctor or emergency medical technician to leave their patient while performing a medical procedure when detectives either enter or stay. When he says, "Doctors, excuse us, please," the doctors would not leave the room. So you're not allowed to, basically. Whether being on your phone / tablet or not, that's been omitted from the cock-ups, but I'll take it as a cock-up. Because if you are performing some intense and very important medical procedure, you don't be on your bloody phone, do you? Yeah, Douglas Smith.
Also,
You
considering,
didn't do any
the way
research,
that
did you?
these
That's the
kids
actor playing the
came to be in
technician.
that hospital, you would not be just having a chit chat with Elise or whatever her name is in your phone. These guys could potentially be terrorists.
I agree.
I don't know. Ridiculous. But that's just my 2 cents. And they are all my notes, Ethan. Do you have any more notes?
No, those are all my notes. So I think we'll just wrap up. If you do enjoy the show, even if you don't, please leave an iTunes review for us on iTunes. Simply open the tab in iTunes and leave a 5-star if you're being generous, or a 1-star if you're being unkind. And say something about the show. Just say something. Be nice. Also, you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, and if you go to the 2-Minute Terminator page and like the page, there's a whole slurry of stills, videos, and behind-the-scenes stuff. Never seen even on some of the very kind of exhaustive Terminator fan pages. I think we're ahead for those guys for content. And if you want to see the clip in question as we talk about it, if you go to 2-Minute Terminator at youtube.com, you can actually follow along Mystery Science Theatre 3K style as we discuss the clip in question. And if you want to donate some money or send a question for us to do a better show, please do. You can send that to the 2-Minute Terminator page. But we shall return with episode 29. That'll be tomorrow. So until then,
Ethan, they've probably
I've
heard
been
your
Ethan
name about
McKinley.
6,000 times in
jumping
this
the gun,
episode.
Ellie.
They know who you are.
I know, I was just doing the wrap up. I just think there's a slight kind of delay on our voices sometimes when we're not in the same room together. But it doesn't matter. Hasta la vista.
Machines. They're unstoppable. Watch out for machines.